Hello, my name is Natalia Porsche, and I am an attorney here in the United States. I practice immigration law, and I have been practicing immigration law for over 10 years. In this video, I will talk about waivers. Waivers in immigration law. This subject is probably the most controversial subject and misunderstood at the same time. Why misunderstood? Because the application of waiver law is very complex, and you need, of course, you need an experienced immigration attorney who will help you to navigate through these deep waters, right? Deep waters of waivers. Let me just start from saying that there are three different types of waivers in immigration law. Okay, depends on your own circumstances of your own case. You might need probably a waiver, you might need a waiver, you might not need a waiver. Well, you need to contact, like I said, an experienced immigration attorney to determine whether you need one or not. Let's talk about first type of waivers. It's the waiver I-601A waiver. So this type of waivers waives unlawful presence in the United States. Let's look at hypothetical. We have a person who entered the United States illegally, and now this person is seeking to adjust to a status of a green card holder, a legal permanent resident holder, green card holder here in the United States. Okay, so this person is probably will need a waiver. Why? Because this person gained unlawful presence here in the United States, right? So he or she will have to file 601A waiver, and this is only if this person has only one kind of grounds, if of inadmissibility, which is unlawful presence. There are also two other waivers that also might come into play, depends on the circumstances of specific case. Okay, so 601 waiver, A waiver, is the waiver where you will have to show a hardship to qualify a relative, a parent or a spouse, right? It's extreme hardship to a relative. This is what you will have to show in order to show that you waive your ground of inadmissibility, which is unlawful presence. Okay, so when do you file this type of waiver? This type of waiver is filed after your I-130 is approved. So you file, the petitioner on your behalf files I-130 with USCIS. After your I-130 is approved, you're ready to adjust, but you cannot adjust here in the United States because you have a grounds of inadmissibility, which is an unlawful presence. Therefore, you will have to go through a consular of processing process abroad. But before you leave for your interview abroad, you will have to have your approved 601A hardship waiver. So when do you file it? You will file it after you make your application, after you are in the process of application with the NVC, and after you pay your fees for your application, for your immigrant visa application, then you file your 601A provisional waiver here in the United States with USCIS office. Why it's called provisional? Waiver is provisional because it is actionable at the time when you are filing it. Let's say if circumstances of your case changes in the future and this relative who will suffer unusual hardship does not exist anymore, or the relationship do not exist anymore, right? So for example, you got divorced from your spouse, therefore this waiver will not work because this waiver is provisional. So next type of waiver is waiver 212 waiver. It's also a provisional waiver. So what does it waive? 212 waiver waives a bar. Let's say we have an individual here in the United States who was deported from the United States and is facing a 5, 10, or 20 years bar, depends on the order of deportation. So now this individual is ready to adjust. Let's say he or she met the United States or legal permanent resident spouse, a person, they got married, so now they're spouses. So what this person can do? Well, it is not necessary here in this case, might not be necessary to wait 5, 10, 20 years, depends on the circumstances. This person can file a waiver, 212 waiver. Unlike 601A waiver, 212 waiver can be filed concurrently with I-130. What does it mean? It can be filed at the same time. Like 601 waiver, which will have to be filed after I-130 is approved. So 212 waiver can be filed along with I-130. That's the difference. Okay, and so you're asking the United States government to let you to re-enter the United States and not to wait 3, 5, 10, or 20 years outside of the United States. So you're asking, essentially, you're asking to waive the ground of inadmissibility. This inadmissibility ground is a bar to your re-entry. Okay, watch out for the situations when we have a person here in the United States who was ordered to be deported, who deported the United States, but re-enter unlawfully without asking for a waiver. Now this individual is subject to a federal criminal prosecution, not just unlawful presence, not just unlawful re-entry and a waiver issue that this individual might have. This individual is also subject to a criminal penalty, right? Because why? Because it is illegal re-entry. It's a re-entry without asking for a waiver. So therefore, he or she might be subject to a federal criminal prosecution. Now, third type of waiver is waiver 601. So what does 601 waiver do? Well, this kind of waiver waives criminal, for example, fraud or some sort of a criminal convictions. Let's say you have 2, 3 DUIs, you have felony conviction, you have aggravated some kind of crime. Therefore, this waiver might be appropriate under the circumstances, under circumstances of your own case to file. So you might need all 3 waivers. It depends on your case. Therefore, you need to contact an experienced immigration attorney to determine what kind of waiver. If you need waiver, if you're inadmissible under any kind of section of INA 212, you might need to have a consultation with an experienced immigration attorney before you file, even before you file I-130, because waiver I-212 can be filed concurrently with I-130, although you can file yourself I-130 for your spouse, but you still will have to have an attorney to speak at least with an attorney to determine whether you need to file any sort of waivers. So I hope this video was helpful. If you like this video, put thumbs up, subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.